Let me know if you guys can see my screen. So I want to let you, I cannot see the chat. So let me let you guys know that I cannot see the chat while I'm presenting. So if you have a question, you will actually have to unmute yourself and speak because I cannot see the chat while I am presenting. So we're going to be talking about taking control of your finances. Um, I want to say right now that I am not a financial advisor. I am, however, a person that have been through a lot of stuff. I have been homeless before in the past for 2 years and 8 months. 4 people, 2 dogs, and a turtle. I started saving with 8 cents, and I was able to save still while homeless over $10,000 while homeless. So I have, like I said, this is a ministry, and I have been called by God to help everyone who is willing to do and be led into taking control of their finances. And also, if anyone wants to afford a home, how you can get that together to afford a home, because I do counseling also. So without any further ado, does anyone have any questions before I start? No questions. Okay, so we are going to be talking about controlling your finances. Today's highlight is cash flow, protection, and investing. Does anyone know what these are? Cash flow, protection, and investing. Does anyone know what these are? To give examples. So cash flow is the amount of money that you bring in, money or monies that you bring in, right? It doesn't necessarily mean the amount of money that you keep, right? Because we have to pay taxes and other things that we have to pay. Protection is how you cover these monies and or assets, and investments or what vehicles you're using for said cash flows and or investments. Okay, for the cash flow, it is recommended, and I'm going to give you guys a caveat because remember, like I said, I was homeless and I could not follow this specific principle, but it is a principle, right, that is well known and is followed by many, right, of how you are supposed to be able to get your money together. But if anyone is living in the economy right now in the United States of America, you know that it is very difficult for you to put 50% of your income or monies coming in. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be from your job. 30% to your wish and 20% to savings. So it's 50%. It is recommended that you put 50% of the monies that you're bringing in, even though it's say income, I'm going to say monies that you're bringing in, to your needs, 30% to what you want, meaning it's not a necessity, and 20% towards your savings. However, like I said, I came from a history of being homeless before in the past, and this principle is a good principle. However, a lot of us, if you are living in this economy right now, more than likely will not be able to follow this principle. So what we are trying to do right now, and what I did, is to create the habit. Because if you do not have a habit, right, of saving and paying yourself first, because remember, it's written that we are supposed to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And I'm going to repeat again. that Your Worth Foundation is a ministry. So when you see me, when you hear me saying scriptures, I'm saying scriptures for a reason. Okay. We are supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. Yes, you have bills to pay, but you also have to gain discipline, and you have to implement better habits when it comes to cash flow. So what I did, like I said, I started with 8 cents. I started with 8 cents, and I slowly started building monies into my account. Now, the vehicle that's used to put this money in is also very, very important, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. So, what you need to do if you are new to saving, right? Because a lot of people struggle with a fear of lack. And that is what causes them to pay everything else and not put money aside because they feel like they can't do it. Trust me, you can. You can. And I highly suggest for you to start with something small so your heart is not racing and you're not up at night thinking that you haven't paid something. So I don't know if anybody on here um will rent, mortgage, car insurance, health insurance, life insurance is 50 cents. I, I'm actually quite positive that no one's rent on here or mortgage or health insurance, life insurance, and all of these other bills, car insurance, car payment is 50 cents. So even though we have a recommended way of saving, when people start, this is what differentiates us from other financial people who are certified out there and us who God called, because we know how rough it is out there. You are trying to gain the principle and the habit of saving. So some people like me, while I was homeless in the car, started with 8 cents. And maybe you have more than what I had at that time, right? Maybe you have 50 cents. Maybe you have $1. And this sounds crazy because you're thinking, what in the world can $1 do for me? But $1 can do a lot for you if you know how to carry that dollar and what vehicle to put it in. Okay, so for anyone, needs, okay, needs are classified as things that are necessary for you in your daily living, i.e., food, so for you to stay alive, water for you to stay alive, clothing because it's illegal for you to not to have any on, okay, shelter, a roof over your head, okay. These are needs. And like I said, it is recommended by actual certified financial advisors that you do 50%. However, in this economy, a lot of people are not able. That's why I'm telling you guys to start small, because once you gain the discipline, it gets easier and easier and easier to follow through and to keep it up. Okay? One thing you have to know is these several steps right here. You have to be able to budget. So you have to know what monies are coming in, and you have to know what monies are going out and where they're going. Okay. So you have to know your bank balance. You have to know what you spend money on. So you actually have to look at it. I know a lot of times we don't want to look at it and we want to turn the blind eye because we know that a lot of times we waste money, right, in areas, and we don't want to see it because we said that we work hard and we deserve it, and you do deserve it. However, it's the time frame that you are looking to get this reward for yourself. Sometimes we have to delay certain things a little bit in order for us to get to a certain area in our life. Don't buy on impulse. A lot of us do this. One thing I do is when I shop online, because most of my is online. When I shop online, I do not buy the thing immediately. A lot of us have a cart. It depends on what platform you're using, and or if you're using Amazon, a lot of us has have wish lists, and you keep it in there. Do not, I repeat, do not buy stuff on impulse because you will go over budget because our emotions go up and down. Okay. And then you're not able to get back that money unless you're willing to sell the thing that you just purchase or stop the order before it's packaged and sent out or return the order. Okay. Fourth step, important, make a budget and do not go over the budget. Okay, on here I have a list of needs. Some people needs will differ, right? Like some people in their family have medical issues and they have other needs. And if that's the case, you can check out my website and you can reach out to me and I will let you know of what resources are out there. But I want to stay focused on finance right now. So some of the needs are rent, insurance, utilities, phone bills, food, and of course, transportation. Even if you don't own a car, you might take the bus, which requires you to get a bus card if you want to save money, and or you might take Uber, or you might have a scooter, which greatly reduce your cost depending if you have an electric or gas scooter. But there is some form of transportation because most of us go to places that's not necessarily close all the time, meaning that you can't always walk there. Sometimes you have to have another mode of getting there than your legs. Okay. What are wishes? It is recommended that you only put 30% to wishes. And wishes is another way of saying wants, meaning that you don't necessarily need those things to live and survive. You just want those things, like that girl's night out. Like, for example, those new shoes when you already have multiple shoes that you can wear, right? And that leads me to another section right here. In the wants, right? Everyone needs shoes, and it's highly recommended based on the streets that we have right now and the things that's on the street. However, if you are able to get work shoes, I'm gonna call it play shoes, whatever it is, they because some people play sports, some people whatever you do. Work shoes, play shoes, and going out type of shoes. If you can get shoes in that category, you will greatly reduce how many shoes you want. Because, like I said, if you shop online, I highly suggest for you, if it's a platform that has a wish list, put it in a wish list and think about it. Don't just click buy. And if it's a platform that does not have a wish list, you can put it in a cart, but do not click purchase. Just put it in there and think on it first. Evaluate what you have currently and think, do I really need this? Is this thing more important than the goals that I have set for myself this year? Okay. Do anyone have any questions thus far? Okay. I can't see the chat, so again, I cannot see the chat. Um, on the list of wish, I put 4 things here, right? To list your monthly income, okay? And if you do not get paid every month, right? Meaning that there are some months that you do not get money because you're either in college or you are working in a different area. You're a U.S. citizen, right? But you're working in one of those other areas that they pay yearly or however, because not everyone gets paid every week or how American system works. Even though you're American system, even though you're an American, it doesn't necessarily mean you get paid like everyone else. It depends on who you work for and where you work as an American citizen. So if you do not get paid regularly, you have to be able to break it down and average out the costs. For example, let's say that you are a college student, right? And you get money from scholarships and or grants every 3 months, and you have a certain amount of bills. You have to calculate, right, before that check comes, because when that check comes, adrenaline starts to rush and you start to purchase. So you have to calm yourself down. Calm yourself down and do this before the check comes. Because if you do not do it before and you do not have a plan for your money plans to leave you. I'm telling you right now. Make a plan for your money or your money will plan to leave you. So what you do is find out how much you have, right? And if you've been in college for a while, you'll know on average how much you get in back. So then you'll be able to break down how much it costs every single month. That's why you need a budget. And I highly suggest everyone to use Every Dollar. There's also the Good Budget app, but I personally like Every Dollar myself. And there's a lot of other ways of budgeting, right? Um, List your monthly expenses, subtract expenses from income, and adjust as needed. So once you write down everything that you spend money on and how much of that you spend on each item in your life, you break it down in comparison to how much money you break in. So if you're a college student and you get money every 3 months, right? You have to calculate 3 months before that next check come for that next semester of all the costs that you are going to accrue. So if you know that you have to buy food or want to buy food, right? Because some people have they include their meal plans, right, on their FAFSA. So the meal plans come out of the FAFSA, and so you don't have to calculate that because it already comes out before you get the leftovers. You have to calculate how much you're willing to spend on the outside, meaning not on your meal plan. You're not eating on campus. You're planning on going off campus. So if you have a job that the income is inconsistent and you know that you have a certain amount of bills every single month, you have to take account of that before the money comes, because there is a saying, I'm going to say a saying going around, that I don't care if I'm broke as long as all my bills are paid. And that is a lie. That is a, please let us get that out of our saying. Please let us remove that out of our saying, right? Because with that mindset, you're highly likely to stay in the same position that you've been in, which is a position of lack. It is a position of lack. You have to be able to pay yourself, because no one cares about you more than you. Your job does not care about you more than you. I'm telling you right now. So you have to be able to pay yourself. The landlord or the bank doesn't care about you more than you should care about you. Now, I am not saying not to pay bills. Let me just say that. Pay your bills, but you have to do it in due diligence and be able to have your income and your expenses. Now, I've been talking about paying ourselves, paying ourselves, paying ourselves over and over and over and over again. Okay, so when you pay yourself, it is suggested by certified financial advisors for you to pay yourself 20%. However, like I said, right now, when you're first starting out, because this is something a lot of financial advisors don't understand. When you're first starting out, you are in fear, right? You can call it whatever you want to call it, it's fair. You are in fear of having lack. So you tend to pay everything and not put money towards yourself. So when you start, if you try to start with 20% and able to keep it up, congratulations, because you are doing awesome. However, with the cost of living right now, most people would not be able to save 20%. That's why I said to start with what you have. Start with a small amount of money. What you are trying to do is trying to build good habits to replace the bad habit, which is that saying that as long as all my bills are paid and I'm broke, I'm good. No, we're cutting that out. We're cutting that out and we're eliminating that from our speech, our verbiage, our mindset. We're removing that, right? So I highly suggest for you to start with a small amount. You can get to the goal of 20%. However, when you're first starting to reduce anxiety and fear, start with a small amount, right? And I highly suggest when you start with a small amount, please do not put the money anywhere. Put the money into a high yield savings account. Put it into a high yield savings account. Okay. I have a link right here for Ally Bank. They have a partnership with me. But I did not start with Ally. I started with Capital One because Capital One allows you to start back over. Meaning, what do I mean by this? I had to start back over financially, well, in my whole entire life, because in 2008, right? I ended up in the ICU dying, right? So all the monies that I had saved, my mom had to use my monies in order. I used to pay my mom's mortgage and pay car note, the daily stuff. Um, I worked in the medical field, right? And my mom had to use all my monies to keep her house and to pay all the continuous bills that were coming around, right? Because once you are unable to take care of yourself and barely hanging on to life, you do not think about money. So, Capital One, and my credit score went, oh my goodness, my credit score was in the high 700s and it dropped to the 400s. So if anyone that could tell you how to get out of that type of situation, it is me, right? So it went down to the 400s and Capital One, because I didn't know about Ally at that time. Capital One allowed me to start back over. So Capital One allowed me to open a high yield savings and they allowed me to open a credit card. However, I highly suggest for you not to open a credit card if you do not know how to manage that. And I have recordings about credit already on YouTube, on Your Worth It Foundation's YouTube page. So if you want to see that, you go back to one of those. But I highly suggest do not get a credit card if you do not understand how to use it, because I break down statement balance and total balance, because there's a difference. There's a difference between your balance, your current balance, and your statement balance. They mean two different things on a credit card. So Ally partnered with me because Ally is one of my high yield savings. I have several high yield savings accounts now, but I started with Capital One with their credit card, and they gave me I think it was $500. I can't remember. It was a while back. They gave me a certain amount to see how I would do with it, and I did it slowly because I was recovering from coming back out the hospital and coming out the ICU for months, right? So I started with that, and once they saw that I was good with paying back and using small amounts of money, then they offered me the high yield savings and approved it. And then they offered me the business line and approved it. So I have several lines with Capital One. However, in savings, if you want to know what are the highest yield right now, I highly suggest for you to go in and type it high yield savings account. List the top 5 banks with the highest yield for savings that does not, this is important, that does not have a minimum deposit amount. That second line is extremely important, because some high yield savings, you have to put like $15,000-$20,000 in this account. Do not put yourself under that type of pressure when you first start. I'm gonna put this link after I'm done in the chat for anyone who wants to try to get Ally. So I have I'm gonna try to remember some of the high yield savings I have right now. I have Capital One, and they give you interest on your money, even though it is small. Like I said, I had 8 cents, and they gave me interest when they used my 8 cents to put it with other people's monies to lend it out for their line of credit. They gave me back interest on my 8 cents. I have American Express high yield savings. I have Ally high yield. Um, and I can't remember who else I have. That's a couple of them. I have several, but for different things. But those are a couple that I can remember right now off the top of my head. Does anyone have any questions thus far before I continue?
I
Okay.
don't have a question, but I have a comment. Cit Bank and Trust also have a high yield interest account. Cit CIT, it's for Citizens Bank and Trust.
Bank
The
and trust?
Yeah, it's Citizens Bank, but CIT one with the green logo. They actually have like it's like 4.49, and you don't need a minimum balance. Because I also have Amex. Amex was high, but then they keep dropping it, so it's like
Yeah,
about 3.70 now. So Citizens Bank, they do have like 4 point. It's like 4.40 is the APY. Just
okay.
add
Okay.
another.
Okay, thank you so much for that information. When I stop recording, I'm gonna tell you about what I did when the interest yield started to drop. But I'm gonna leave that after I stop recording. Um, so step 2 is protection, right? You have to put your money where it's protected. I don't think, well, let me not say I don't think, because I've met with several people, and believe it or not, there are still people that's not in their 60s and not in their 50s that do not trust banks. I never thought that it existed now in this time and era. I knew it existed for people above 54, 55, right? Because they didn't have a good relationship with banks, especially as a minority. However, with interviewing people, I found out that there are younger people that also have that mindset. And the problem with that is one, it can be lost. The money can be lost. If you keep the monies in your house and it's not in a proper safe that is fireproof, right? One of those fireproof safes, even those are questionable because a lot of people say their safes are fireproof and they're not. And we found out we found out that that is not the case with every case. So you risk damage, loss to those monies. And in order for you to send the money back, I don't know how much of that money, meaning of that one bill, can be sent back because you can send money back, right? And they will give you the money back from the government or the bank. I don't know if banks still do it. Banks used to do it, but I don't know if they still do it now. They, let's say you have a $20 bill and it got ripped up, right? You were able to send it out and they will send you back the new bills, right? However, when it comes to fire damage, I don't know how much of that bill needs to be protected, meaning together for them to get. I don't know how that works because I do not trust just have money underneath mattress in. No, I don't. Um, unless you have the proper safe available. And make sure you look at reviews if you're that type of person. Because since I deal with a lot of homeless people, I have very creative ways of protecting money as a person who's been homeless themselves in the past. Um, also, it is suggested that you save, right, for at least 6 months in emergency fund. Now, um, the emergency fund should be in a high yield savings account. People do not suggest, when I say people, I mean financial advisors, do not suggest for you to put it in areas that is not easily accessible, like in a CD, right? In a CD, it has to be there for the period of time that you have allotted for the bank to hold that money for them to use your money, right? And that money is there supposed to be there for that allotted period of time. And also for bonds with the government, really, with the Treasury Department for bonds. They highly suggest for you not to put your emergency funds there, even though there are bonds with a shorter period of time, right? It is not short enough because you don't know when an emergency is going to happen. That's why it's called an emergency fund. That's why I suggest for people to put it in a high yield, your 6 months of savings. And of course, if you're first starting, it's not going to be 6 months. So take your time and do baby steps. Do not look to see that, oh, I'm falling behind. Everyone has to start somewhere because if you put too much money in that emergency fund, knowing that you did not budget your needs first, you will go into that emergency fund if you do not find other ways of attaining and increasing your income. So it's highly suggested, let me say it one more time. It's highly suggested for you to put it in a high yield savings account instead of these other avenues because the monies are not easily accessible to you. Okay. there are various types of protection. We have insurance, the life insurance, and we have, like I said, the emergency fund. So these are the two types. I do not do life insurance. However, I am partnered with someone that does life insurance. And she works for a mortgage brokerage company, right? And she helps with life insurance. She is part of the economic mobility. She's a member of it, and she does life insurance. So I am not going to tell you about life insurance. However, that is one of the ways of protection, because they'll break down the different types of life insurance that's available to you, that you can access, that you can have access to. And of course, I said more than enough about emergency funds, so I don't need to explain about more emergency funds again. Okay. Um, so with investments, this is the area I enjoy a lot. Okay. I want you to change your perspective on paying yourself. We are going to change our perspective on paying ourselves. We are not going to look at it as, oh, I am going out less because I'm putting this money on the side. We are not going to look at it as, oh, I do not have as much shoes because I'm putting money on the side. Right? We are not going to look at it as, oh, I cannot buy this new thing on the TikTok shop because I'm putting money on the side. You are putting money on the side first for emergencies, and then for investing that money to increase. You have to put your money to work. I need you to change your view of the money. For anyone who is in business or who have worked for a business, how many of us have employees and have the employees do nothing? Does anyone have a job that they pay you to do nothing? And when I say nothing, I don't mean that you like the job and it feels like you're doing nothing. I mean, no, you're literally still in your bed, laying down. You haven't logged on the computer to, if you work from home, you haven't gone into the office in months. You're literally doing nothing and they're paying you. If you have that job, let me know about it. But no, for real, for real. There is no company or business owner that will pay employees to do absolutely nothing at all. I mean, literally nothing. You have to look at your monies like employees. You have to look at your monies like employees. You have to put them to work. So when you put your money on the side, change the viewpoint of how you're looking at the money. Not that you can purchase less, but you're delaying it so you can purchase more and better later on. Okay? Invest in something that creates income, and look for someone that can give you investing strategies. Okay? Look for someone that can give you investing strategies. And the good thing is, well, I've already tried it on ChatGPT. So let me just say it right now before anyone go to ChatGPT. I already tried it on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT said that they're not able to give that type of advice. And ChatGPT does not keep up to date of minute by minute market moves. It has history things, but the minute by minute market, they do not have that. So in case anyone thinking about ChatGPT, unless they updated ChatGPT, and I just did it to see what'll happen. Yeah. So get someone that knows how to do these things because I just teach the basics. Even though I do these things personally for me and my family, right? I do not do them for other people because it is a very high liability in those areas, right? I just teach people how to get there and change your mindset so they can be in that position and in that room to do those investing. This is the end, and I'm ending it because I want enough time and I want to stop recording. I want enough time, right, for people to ask questions specific to them. And I want to show you guys some opportunities in case someone is thinking about buying land or stuff like that. So I have on here, I want to thank you guys so much for joining. And we're going to start our session of questions after I stop this recording. And if you would like to donate to our ministry, this is the QR code. We do not save any personal information from anyone. That's why we use someone else, which is PayPal. We use PayPal and we use Zephy. We use other people who have the proper IT personnel to protect your information because we do not want anyone's information in our system. I want to thank you guys, and we have stopped sharing right now. Okay, so now let's get to the good part. Okay, now that I've stopped sharing, does anyone have any questions before before I start on other highlights, other little things to give?
I do have a question. You say you know about HUD homes. So if someone has an FHA loan, can you help with getting them out of the FHA loan?
No, what I do is the HUD counseling.
Okay.
I do not do the what okay, let me just say this because I also have a partner with a real estate attorney. So
Okay.
so let me just say this before I say what I'm gonna say. Um when you say get out of the FHA loan, what exactly are you what do you mean by that?
Well, I guess um, you know, like FHA, you can't ever, I mean, not can't ever, but you have to like get refinanced to
Mhm,
get into a normal loan. But right now, so I have like a 3% because, like you, I suffered some health challenges before
mhm,
and didn't work for like 6 years. I wasn't thankfully homeless to that degree. But I had to start over because all the savings I had was exhausted before I finally got back to work.
mhm,
And so my credit was a little shot, and I purchased another home at that time because I lost my first home as a result, and they started me on a FHA loan. So right
mhm.
now the percent is 3%, but every time I go to try to refinance, they said I don't have enough equity, and
Yeah.
you know, so
How much equity do you have? Because you need at least 20%. So how much equity do you have right now in order for you to get the conventional loan? And let me ask another question after that question. When you're looking for conventional loan, did you look at the rate that they're giving you? Is it comparative to the FHA loan?
not right now, no. When I was before, it was, but then they said I didn't have enough equity. So now I'm thinking I probably do because I bought the home in 2019 December.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was just wondering if you have any ideas or suggestions along those lines.
You need at least 20%
Mm.
of the value of that home. So it means that I don't know if they told you this before, but it means that they will have to appraise the home.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on the fair market value right now of the comps in your area, comparisons, housing comparison that's compared to yours, in size and number of rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then based on that, they're gonna be able to determine if that 20% is met or not. So when's the last time you actually did that process before you do the
Um, I haven't gone back to them for about maybe 3 years now. Cause I was trying to do it earlier, like so I bought it in 29 December. I mean 2019
Mhm.
December. So we're in 2025, probably around 2023-ish was the last time I've tried it.
Mhm.
And they said I wasn't quite there yet.
You do know that when you have an amortization schedule, most of your payments are going towards
Just
interest,
interest.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I actually do know the amortization schedule trick too, how to pay down fast.
mhm,
It's like I said, it's just like I never thought I would well, I'm an accounting major, so I actually know better. But, life has its ups and downs, especially when you have health issues. So I just don't know a lot about the what's out there now for the FHAs and how can I would love to just slip into another loan without having to do a refinance but I know it's not possible, I guess, right now. So I just have to sit still because I don't want to give up my 3%, even though I'm paying um that mortgage fee,
mhm.
insurance, I mean. I don't know.
So I am looking, let me ask you a question. So why are you trying to, if you're able to find a better rate, I could understand why you want to get out of it because
Yeah.
you don't have to pay principal insurance on it. However, are you able to find a better rate? Because right now the rates
Uh,
are kind of high for me.
yeah, it got to go back down. Like, in 2023, when I was trying to do it, the rates were better. It was more in line with what I had, but it wasn't feasible. So I guess I have to wait and hope that the market will go back down. The rates will go back down, not the property value, but the rate.
Yeah, so um I'm actually was looking for a contact that I have for I'm partnered with a mortgage broker.
Hmm.
I'm trying to let me see.
And it's funny because they're still building over here. So the property should go up the value because they keep, you know, putting up new roads and townhouses. And so, because the earlier you buy in, the more value you get every time they build another community nearby. So they're still developing over here.
I'm trying to see how to transfer this. Let me just type it in the chat because her her what is this here?
Gee, I took up all the time.
Does anyone else while I'm typing this contact have any questions? Let's see. Does anyone have any questions?
You said after you get off of the thing you were supposed to explain something.
Okay. Oh, wait, before I go into that, I'm trying to get you guys out, but I'm trying not to keep you guys past that hour. But it's such so much information that I know. Okay.
Girl, we're
So
not worried about all of that. We good. We need this information.
So, do you see an email? She's a broker. Do you see an email that I just put in the chat?
Hold on,